So I'm 7 months into trading. I was finally starting to think I was seeing consistency. I was passing it evaluations was within reach. I had my first funded account. YouTube was growing. My confidence was building. Things were starting to click. Then that all changed. I had an oil disaster. I had an indices disaster. I had data feed platform issues. I had slight execution problems. Stops were starting to trigger strangely. Sizing was bonkers through no fault of my own, and accounts were blown. I wasn't struggling. I wasn't fighting the market. I was fighting with technology. I was fighting with execution. I was fighting with confidence. But this is the important part. I genuinely had one day last week where I thought I just don't want to do this anymore. It's too much. It wasn't the money, it wasn't the accounts, it was the fact that after 7 months I really questioned whether I should continue. But do you know what I done? Despite three accounts blowing through platform issues that I just knew there was no point in raising at the back end, because I guess from I don't know what had happened, but I had clearly gone in on a specific size, specific take profit, specific stop loss. My risk management is always tight. I don't know if it was, well, there are data feed issues with this platform at the moment. I have to say that has been uncommon since I've been using it for the last kind of 6 months. Um, but as soon as I hit go into trade, it sized me. I don't know what it done. It sized me like twice the size that it should have done. Um, it was bonkers, and I'd like stupidly when I was in the trade, and I don't know what my brain must have just not computed what had happened, and price was moving with massive volatility. So what I done was, because I just assumed this was like every other time where there's just a massive spike, but then it recovers straight away. So I stupidly, and it shouldn't have done this, moved my stop loss. Moved my stop loss, but because of the additional sizing that I hadn't executed, but should have just come flattened and come out of the trade, I ended up just blowing three accounts. Yeah, I was devastated as soon as it happened. But you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I should have just, as soon I should have been on it that it had sized incorrectly, and then I should have just flattened the trade and taken the loss. But there was part of me as soon as it went in, and I was looking at the numbers, and I was looking at the numbers going, they were going up, and then they were going down, and then they were like coming down and down and down, and I was wanting them to go into a long. I was on the trading along. I was just like, oh my god, no, I need to recover this, which I shouldn't have done. I should have just come straight out of it, but I didn't. And blew those accounts. And as I said, like, I've blown accounts, haven't been that bothered about it. But on this occasion, I was devastated. And then price just kept dumping and dumping and dumping and dumping. Of course, eventually it did come back and recover, but I was well into the poop by the time that happened. But what I did do is I stopped. Well, I'd blown the accounts, but I had a couple other evaluations I was going through. So I stopped trading for the day. I was like, no, we don't need to continue. So despite the next day, I thought, let's reassess this. Accounts blown, confidence took a massive hit, frustration at the platform issues. Um, the next day, I managed to recover quite a lot of the losses. I hadn't blown the account completely. I'd blown the account for the day. I'd blown one account for the day. But the next day, I did focus on recovering some of those losses, protected my other accounts, didn't completely spiral. I just put it into context. And yeah, it was incredibly frustrating, but I just thought, do you know what? Like, you know what you'll do differently. at this time, and there are data feed issues. So until they're resolved, I really need to protect these accounts at the moment. If I need to trade at all, I know what times of the day that I'm going to avoid that. I guess all of that just made me realise that I am still progressing. I've dealt with the moves in the market were something that I'd never experienced, particularly at the times that they happened. And it happened over. I had one hit on one day and another hit on the other day. The next day, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is like an anomaly. This has not happened. These markets have never moved in that level of volatility in the whole little time that I've been trading." So that was definitely a big lesson that I've learned. And as I said, didn't spiral. I've put it into context, and I just have to accept that the parameters I'm working in at the moment are outside of the norm. But to work with that, well, what else can I do? I can't work against it. So yeah, putting it into context and just reducing um, my risk even further than it was, my sizing. I'm quite conservative anyway, so I can't really reduce it any much more, but I can reduce it a bit more. 6 months ago, I would have reacted very differently. I would have probably have just been like, right, I'm going to buy another X amount of evaluations. I bought one more, lost three, bought one. And I think that's kind of fair enough. Like, as I said in my previous video, you only need to pass one, and then scale it up once you've got that system in place and you've gone through all these lessons. So what has it taught me? It's taught me that my strategy is important, but I'm executing that. Um, it taught me that I have got the ability to recover, and that when things go wrong, I do become really laser focused, which is really interesting and something that I am going to be working with in my trading psychology. The week felt horrible, but still have evaluations that are alive. I still have a funded account that's alive. I'm recovering slowly but conservatory. I have a plan, and alongside that, this channel is growing, and I am really appreciative of all the comments. Have you experienced anything similar? I'd love to hear your stories as well and how you navigated through that as well. Just comment below. So the week wasn't a complete catastrophe. It just felt like one when I was in the moment of it. A week ago, I felt like quitting, or at a moment a week ago, I felt like quitting. Today, I'm planning next week. It's probably the biggest lesson that trading has taught me is how not to win, is how to keep going when things don't go your way, and not to yeah, I can blame the data feed issues. I can blame there is accountability in some of those, but this is the game of trading. You have to navigate through that, and that's where I am really valuing the experience that I'm being exposed to as I work through this. I'm not going to get this from back testing. I'm not going to get this from paper trading. I'm only going to get this when I'm kind of doing it in real live markets. But my goodness, it has been a big lesson over the week. Probably one of the biggest that I've had so far on this journey. But yeah, keep going. And thank you so much. I will update next week.